Hey, what's going on? It's Quinn David Furness. Welcome to my show. Quinn David Furness presents Beantown podcast for Saturday, January 30th, 2021. What's going on? How are you? This is my show. My name is Quinn. I'm the producer, creator, best boy, key grip, supreme chancellor of this entire program. And we are coming to you live through the audio. We are coming to you live through YouTube. Welcome to everyone who is tuning in. This is the Beantown podcast. This is our fourth year of the show, and it is one of the top 500 podcasts on the north side of Chicago. So you know when you tune in to Beantown, you're getting quality content. We have a very wild show for you today, and I want to say before anything else, you might want to grab an edible or a glass of whiskey or some Powerade or something, because it's going to be a funky time. We've never done anything like this on the show before, and that's coming up very soon because I'm not going to waste your time. It's a Saturday. We've got stuff to do. There's a snowstorm coming in like half an hour. I don't know. It's 3:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. But I want to mention, because I forgot, and I apologize to the fans, last week we forgot to do our Real Housewives of Salt Lake City recap. And wouldn't you know it, this past Wednesday night, it's the penultimate episode of season 1 of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Blindsided me. They said next week on the season finale. And I'm like, whoa. No one prepared me for that. I apologize. Last week we forgot about it. Before I get into that, I'll mention listener discretion is advised when you're listening to the Beantown podcast. Number 1, we'll occasionally use some adult language. Number 1.5, we'll talk about Jen Shah, and she is just, kids don't need to hear about that. Number 2, this podcast is objectively terrible. Basically, 2 weeks ago on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and I didn't even look at a recap before for either episode before I started talking right now, and I hadn't even thought about it, but I didn't want to forget about it again. Whitney wanted to plan a girls' trip to Vegas, and of course, Mary Cosby, who had such a prominent role in the first 1 to 3 episodes of season 1. I'm a broken record here. I tell you, every episode, she gets 30 seconds of screen time. They cut to her house, and she has a 5-second conversation with her cousin / housekeeper. That's all you need to know about Mary Cosby. The rest of the ladies, Heather, Whitney, Jen Shah, Meredith, and Lisa Barlow, they go to Vegas, a fun little getaway. What's supposed to be a fun little getaway. And Whitney has this big surprise planned for everyone. And she's like, we're going to go race cars. And Heather's like super excited to do it. They go to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But Jen Shah, who has some serious issues, which the show is not long enough. It's a 30 to 60 minute program. We can't get into all of it about it. So it's a big, like, random surprise. So it's just kind of weird. Anyways, so Whitney and Meredith and Lisa go to the track. They're driving these fancy cars. Whitney apologizes to Lisa and Meredith for Coach Shah's birthday party, which wasn't even really Whitney's fault. She was just executed very poorly, and she was super drunk. Anyway, so now Whitney and Meredith and Lisa, they're all good. They're all racing cars, and I could go into it. There's a whole lot more going on. All you need to know is Lisa's really slow. Back at the hotel in Las Vegas, this weird like shopping thing going on. Jen Shah apparently right now feels like Heather's her only friend, which is, I don't know, kind of strange. I never really noticed the like friendship dynamic between the two of them, whatever. But Jen Shah is just toxic. There's going to be some shit going down no matter what. This was 2 weeks ago already. Can't remember. She starts yelling at Heather, yada, yada, yada. The other ladies come back from the race track, and basically the start of this episode, Vegas is like a 2-part thing. They're really excited to go to the strip club. And then they say that, and then they never go to the strip club. So it's just kind of weird. They go downstairs to the casino or wherever for dinner. And first, it's just Jen Shah and Meredith and Lisa. And of course, Jen Shah freaks out again when she finds out that Meredith and Lisa have hashed it out with Whitney and they're good to go. They're on good, solid ground. Jen Shah is not happy about this, even though 3 weeks ago, remember Whitney and Heather and Jen Shah went to those weird like bathtubs in the mountains, and Whitney apologized to Jen Shah, and Jen Shah were men, etc. So Whitney's under the impression that she's good with Jen Shah. Apparently not. Jen Shah starts freaking out at Lisa and Meredith. Meredith walks away because she's not going to engage. Lisa's doing her best to like have her back. Whatever. Whitney and Heather, their cousins, remember, they come down, and all of a sudden they come down, and Jen Shah is just like the Tasmanian devil. She's going nuts. She like bumps into / they refer to it as she hit Heather, which it wasn't really, it was like a bump, but which is a bad move for Jen Shah because Whitney or Heather is like her only friend, the only one who'll stick up for her. Anyway, so this whole thing just blows up. Vegas has been a disaster because of Jen Shah. And Lisa FaceTimes Mary because we got to get Mary 5 seconds of screen time. And Mary's like, yeah, I told you so. I told you so. Shah, show, whatever. About Jen Shah. So the like set piece, the final thing of this episode. Apparently the four ladies, Whitney, Heather, Meredith, and Lisa, were all under the impression that Jen Shah, after her blow up, this specific one, I know there's about 2 per episode, and we still haven't gotten to the second one for this episode, they're under the impression that she flew home. So the 3 ladies, it's Whitney, Meredith, and Lisa, they go to this hypnotist, and Heather's coming too, but she's just running behind. Heather goes to Jen Shah's room, even though she doesn't expect Jen Shah to be there. She thinks her shopping haul, whatever, from the night before is going to be there. She gets there, and I swear to God, funniest part of the episode, they let her into Jen Shah's hotel room. Jen Shah is there, but that's not the funny part. She has her whole posse there, high or low. I would say 6 people in the room with her. There's, because she has like her 3 assistants, Jen Shah. There's Stu Chains, right? And like 2 other assistants that we never meet. And then a hairstylist, a wardrobe person, her bodyguard. I think this was the first episode. We learned that Jen Shah has a bodyguard. Okay. Just very weird. So there's like 8 people in this hotel room all of a sudden. And Heather's like, oh, we're going to this hypnotist. Are you going to come? And Jen Shah's like, yeah, sure. That's going to be trouble. So now the 5 ladies are at this hypnotist who's like kind of, excuse me. They did some really good editing with the hypnotist and like some of her lines. It was actually very comical. But it starts off as like this relaxation, meditation, hypnotism thing, which is what you would think it was going to be. Speaking of relaxation and hypnotization, HYPNO, that's a Pokemon. TINIZATION, hypnotization, something like that. And all of a sudden it turns into this gab session where it's basically like couples therapy, but there's 5 people instead of 2. And of course it's all about Jen Shah. And I can't even remember all the fine details. The best part was the very last thing they did though. And it's this like trust exercise. And so the hypnotist, and he's got the 5 ladies in there, 6 including the hypnotist. And she's like, raise your hand if, and everyone's participating, raise your hand if you trust this person, this person, this person. So they go down the line, they do all 5. For, I think the first 3 are like Whitney, Lisa, and Meredith, and everyone raises their hand. Or it's the opposite. Raise your hand if you don't trust that person. And then the shocker, because they've really been playing up this like, or trying to play up this Jen Shah and Heather being like her only friend left. The hypnotist last asked, raise your hand if you don't trust Heather. And of course, Heather is like the MVP of the show. She's like clearly the most stable, normal one. It's just like not childish, very emotionally intelligent. Jen Shah raises her hand when Whitney's been the one, or Heather's been the one who's like had her back. Literally earlier in the episode, Heather was like, let's not rush. Let's not pass too much judgment on Jen Shah. Like, she has some redeeming qualities, yada, 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 whatever. But she's the only one saying stuff like that. And Lisa's like, I don't think I want to be her friend anymore. Whatever. So Jen Shah raises her hand. She's the only one that doesn't trust Heather. And it's just like, girl, bad move. Anyways, they finally leave Vegas, and that's the end of the episode. And I mentioned you might want, a glass of whiskey or an edible or something. I have a glass myself. It's a very tall, healthy pour. Because what I'm about to get into is just some funky stuff, man. The glass of whiskey wasn't supposed to be for listening to the Real Housewives recap, but it works for that too. I want to mention, this is good whiskey, by the way. J. Henry, I think we talked about it in the show before. My friend John Paul Pandowski brought it over a couple weeks ago from Dane, Wisconsin, which I don't know where that is, but presumably it's in Dane County, which is the first county north of the border, I think, right? First or second county around Madison, whatever. Paul Ryan land. I want to mention this before I get too deep into my whiskey or my Powerade. I've got zero sugar sports drink because sometimes I want to party and sometimes I want to be hydrated. So it's good to kind of alternate. But the reason, what I was going to say is if you have any questions, comments, concerns at any point, you can always email us, beantownpodcast@yahoo.com. Again, that's Beantown, BEANTOWN@yahoo.com. And I want to give a shout out to our sponsors because I don't know where the rest of this episode is going to go. We're not going to take like an ad break or anything like that. Home Pride, Oregon. You need a house inspected in Central Oregon. Steve's your guy. Cuts by Q. You're looking at it. The Samson Q2U series. It's beautiful in year 4. And then today and tomorrow, your last 2 days to go get your Everlasting bath pillow, Everlasting Comfort bath pillow. Use code Q.QueenD for 20% off. Sales end tomorrow. I had a dream. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, doesn't matter. And this dream felt like I was in it for hours. And it was a double dream in multiple senses of the word. Double first, in that I had the dream. I woke up about 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I went back to bed and I continued having the dream. That is some wild stuff. The other sense, and I don't know if this is true or not, or if my mind is playing tricks on me, but it felt like a sequel, RRY, if I was in the UK, Nary a Young Chap. So it was like a sequel to a dream that I had had before. And the centerpiece of this dream, and I'm just telling it to you like it is, it's this 9-story, mind you. It's like the tallest building in Vermont. 9-story house in Loves Park, Illinois. Which is, to tie it into earlier things in the episode, halfway between Rockford and Dane County, Wisconsin. It's a 9-story house, but it looks like a normal house from the outside. Kind of like a Pokemon. Think about like what's the first thing that in Pokemon, like gold and silver, Brussels sprout tower, something like that. You fight all those sages, they have Bellsprouts. Weird. It looks normal from the outside, but this house has 9 stories. The first dream I had, or the first time this memory occurred to me 15, 16 years ago, at least in my head, that's what it was. We were there for a Bible study, a family Bible study, which was a popular thing to do as kids, as a family growing up. You go to a sort of a different person's house every week. Different people will volunteer in a large room with multiple seating options. And I don't know because I was never present in that portion, but presumably discuss biblical scriptures and passages. And the kids will all play in a designated kid play area with a variety of entertainment options depending on who was hosting. For example, you go to the Perkins basement. You've got Pokemon or Super Smash Brothers Melee on the GameCube. Hell of a game. Or, whomever is hosting, Kintaya's, Micrits, Reynolds. There's, it's like an hour-long Bible study jam session. And then after studying the scriptures, all the families get together